I'm here joined, you guys all know him, the legendary Peter Schiff. Peter, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for inviting me on.
Peter, what are you doing at a Bitcoin conference?
What are you doing here?
This is literally what I've been doing for the last 10 years of my life.
Yeah, well, I've got a little bit to do with Bitcoin. I mean, in fact, I find out by being here that most of the people here only own Bitcoin because of me. I'm the one that educated them on economics, on sound money, and because they listened to me, they read my books, they ended up buying Bitcoin. Now, that was not my intention, but they ended up doing it anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. And no, 100%. I mean, I think you've had such an influential role in the community by taking, essentially a I don't want to say anti-Bitcoin stance, but you've taken a stance like kind of against Bitcoin for gold. By the way, as a Bitcoiner, I'll tell you, I'm a big fan of physical gold, even despite being a Bitcoiner. I just think Bitcoin's better. But, have you come around? Have you seen like, okay, number keeps going up? To give you credit, gold's been performing amazing recently, right?
Well, I mean, gold's done well ever since I first started recommending it. It was under $300 an ounce when I began, buying gold for my clients and recommending that they buy gold. So since the very beginning, it's outperformed the stock market, but it hasn't been a straight line. A lot of the gains were from 2001 to 2011. Then gold kind of went sideways up until 2014, really, 2024. And it was in that environment, really, where gold was going sideways, that Bitcoin really gained a lot of momentum. And people who were getting frustrated with gold, who might not have bought gold until after its first move, and then it wasn't going anywhere, and then they saw what was happening with Bitcoin, a lot of people, changed horses and started buying Bitcoin. So gold really started to move at the beginning of last year. But I think what's interesting, if you look at the peak of Bitcoin in 2021, right, that peak, gold today, or Bitcoin priced in gold, is 10% lower now than it was almost 4 years ago. So with all of the hype and all of the ETFs and the Bitcoin treasury companies and the strategic reserve and the Bitcoin president and these massive conferences like we're at now, Bitcoin is actually lower in real terms than it was then. So I would look at the failure of Bitcoin to really make new highs in terms of gold over that time period could be indicative that it's topped out, and that the next big move in Bitcoin is not to move up to 1 million, but a big move in the other direction. So I think that there's a lot of risk in Bitcoin. There is upside, but to me, it's not worth it. I don't think, there's enough. Yes, there was big money made in Bitcoin, obviously, if you got in a long time ago. And that was a point I tried to make, when I spoke yesterday, that money is made in Bitcoin by the people who sell it, right? And their money comes at the expense of the people who buy it. It's a transfer of wealth. It's a greater fool dynamic. So you have to ask yourself, looking around at the grandeur of this event, and it is a spectacular conference, and I got to hand it to David Bailey, who put this together. Most conferences lose money, that I go to, and they're tiny compared to this. And he's making a killing. I can't imagine how many of these whale passes he's been able to sell. It's amazing that what's happening here. But when you look around at this exhibit hall and the expensive booths and all the people around here, to me, this is not now the ground floor of something. You're not like getting in early and you're going to make a killing. You may be the bag holders, right? The greatest fools may be the ones that are here when it comes to the investment dynamic of Bitcoin. So I think people should be cautious. And again, it reminded me, I tried to make this point, but Natalie kind of didn't let me finish it. But when I came to the Mortgage Bankers Conference in 2006 in Vegas, that conference was tiny compared to this thing. But there were about 3,000 people there, and they had, fancy booths. I think they had tigers and stuff. I mean, they were spending a lot of money. But that was the peak of the real estate bubble and the mortgage bubble. And I was there telling people, hey, this is not going to end the way you think, and you better do something. I suggested shorting the subprime market. But I think this is the same dynamic. I mean, people here that are all in on Bitcoin, take some chips off the table. It's a good analogy. We're here in Vegas. bet a little bit on something else. I mean, even if you like Bitcoin better than gold, own some gold anyway, just in case. Diversify, own some foreign stocks, dividend-paying stocks, emerging markets, commodities, other assets. You don't have to sell all your Bitcoin. Keep some of it. And if it does go to $1 million, well, great. You'll make money on what you kept. But if it goes to 10,000 or a lot lower than that, at least you got something. And you may make money. You may make more money in what you buy with, what you cash out of Bitcoin. Even if Bitcoin goes up, other assets could go up more.
So there's a lot of things to unpack there, right? So, and that, by the way, Peter is 100% correct when he says this. Bitcoin has made all-time highs in dollar terms since 2021, but it has not made all-time highs since 2021 if you price it in gold. He's 100% correct about that. That's something that I've been talking about for many, many months now, despite all the hype, right? Another thing that you mentioned as well is 100%. I mean, the amount of money that it would take for Bitcoin to 10x from here compared to when the market cap was significantly smaller is orders of magnitude, right?
Oh yeah, and and when people were originally buying it, when it was $1, like when I first looked at it, it was somewhere around there. When people were buying it, they were throwing, real small amounts of money at it, play money. I mean, people knew it was very risky. They didn't really know what was going to happen. But now people are putting serious money, putting their retirement money into it and stuff like that. So it's very different. But when people look back and say, well, it's, how great it's performed, they always go back to the inception when it was nothing. But for a lot of people, most of the people who own Bitcoin, their average price, I'm sure, is north of $50,000. And in fact, even Michael Saylor's average price is $70,000. So it's not like he's made a lot of money in Bitcoin. His stock has gone up a lot because he got into Bitcoin, but MicroStrategy on Bitcoin itself, he'd probably be about the same if he just bought gold. But the difference is, if MicroStrategy had bought $40 billion worth of gold, it could sell it today without moving the market very much. But if it tried to get rid of its Bitcoin, it would crash the market, and he would end up selling at a loss.
Yeah, so, and again, I respect you've made very valid points in terms of the market cap and in terms of Bitcoin not making all-time highs. And I think it's a point where we have to agree to disagree, and we shall see how this plays out, right? But I will say that, yes, if you're class of 2020, class of 2021, class of 2023, if you weren't buying Bitcoin below 10,000, I think, yeah, I mean, look, it's the law of big numbers, right? It comes into place.
And you need even bigger, because when you have the dynamic, in order to move the needle now, a lot more people have to, come into this ecosystem. In order for money to get out, new money has to come in. And it's harder and harder to attract. I mean, that's why none of these, a pyramid or a Ponzi, they can't go on forever, because you run out of that dynamic, right? Because if it can go on forever, Bernie Madoff would still be in business, right?
Yeah.
But he's not, and they're illegal for a reason, because they don't work. Yes, they work for some people who get in early, but at the expense of everybody else who gets in late. But you said you like gold and Bitcoin, but you like Bitcoin better. Why is Bitcoin better than gold?
Because of its physical characteristics.
But it doesn't have any physical characteristics.
Well, okay,
it's not
so
physical.
let me say, because of its characteristics. So it's absolute scarcity, and it's your ability for you to actually custody in an efficient manner. So if I have millions, billions, or trillions of dollars worth of gold, I need to outsource that security to another third party, right? And I need to trust in their ability to custody my gold, unless you have a giant safe in your house and you have millions of dollars of gold in that safe.
Well,
right?
for most people, right, gold is very portable and it's very valuable. So,
but it's also very heavy after it gets to a certain.
Well, okay, so look here. See this bracelet that I have around my wrist, right? It's not that heavy. There's about $20,000 worth of gold in this bracelet. A lot of people don't even have $20,000. I mean, I'm carrying it on my wrist, right? So, you can put $1 million worth of gold in a shoebox. So, and so it's not that, you need a lot of space. Yes, if you're Michael Saylor and you want billions worth of gold, you probably want to have third-party custodians. You want to have reputable safes that you can keep it, right? You probably, or you can have your own safes, but
I will say though is try crossing a border with that bracelet on.
Well, no one's going to. It's jewelry. I mean,
if that country's in a pickle, they will take that off your wrist.
If I fly on a commercial airline, which I try to avoid, but if I do, I don't have to declare this. This isn't jewelry. It's not, even though this is worth more than
I could memorize $20,000 in my mind.
Yeah,
right?
I can't. I'll forget it.
No, but that's the point I'm trying to make. Listen, Peter, great conversation. Thank you so much for joining me.
But
I really appreciate it.
Before we leave, though, I wanted to finish this point on, I guess you could tokenize gold, right, which is something that has been done that I intend to do myself, too. But you could tokenize gold, and you can leave your gold with a third party. And you can, transact it through the internet, through the blockchain, much faster, much cheaper than you can with Bitcoin. But your other point was that you know exactly how much Bitcoin there is, right? 21 million Bitcoin. But to me, a Bitcoin is just a random bundle of Satoshis. Each Bitcoin is 100 million Satoshis. So you're really talking about 2.1 quadrillion Satoshis. So in that sense, they're not really scarce. There's lots of Satoshis, plenty to go around.
Well, I mean, you don't know how much gold is flying in outer space. You don't know how much gold is in the ground.
We can't get it.
Well, because of the economics of it,
yes.
right? Even if Bitcoin goes to 10 million, you can't mine more Bitcoin out of the ground.
Right, but what you can do is create virtually identical cryptocurrencies to Bitcoin that have the same properties as Bitcoin. You can't do that with gold. I can't make another gold.
Well,
but
you can't make another Bitcoin. You can't make another Bitcoin. They've tried that.
No, they've succeeded. Look at all the other ones. Look at the tens of thousands of tokens that are out there.
And they've all failed.
They haven't failed.
They haven't made all-time highs against Bitcoin.
I don't know. Solano's done really well recently.
It's done, but if you price it in Bitcoin, it hasn't made all-time highs.
Well, what about Fartcoin?
Same thing.
I don't know. I mean, they ran up.
They ran up in the short term, but in the long term, they all trend to zero.
Well, they're not at zero yet. A lot of these coins still have, what is Bitcoin? Is it about 40, 50% of total crypto market cap?
I don't know it off the top of my head. I think it's maybe like above 60% right now.
Yeah, but it's not 100%. So there's a lot of other coins out there that people,
I think people love to gamble. I think that's really what it is.
Yes, and that's Bitcoin is in there because the Bitcoin maxis, and probably if I was in this, right, I would be a maxi too. I guess I would have to think it's just Bitcoin and everything else is shitcoin. But when you really drill down to it, there isn't that much difference. Bitcoin has a lot more in common with all these other coins than it has differences.
I disagree with you there. I think it's very unique. I think it has the virgin birth, and I think it's the only cryptocurrency that has true decentralization and immutability.
It is the most popular. It will probably be the last man standing of the cryptos. I would say that, but I don't think it's superior to gold.
That's where we disagree.
But but just to hedge your bets, own gold, because gold is a safe haven asset, store of value. Right now, Bitcoin is a highly volatile speculative asset.
I don't disagree with you, which is why I said I'm a fan of not paper gold but physical gold, like gold bars that you can hold in your hand, right?
Right.
I'm a fan of those, but I'm a bigger fan of Bitcoin.
Right, but for today, for the way it is now, Bitcoin and gold move in opposite directions. There's a negative correlation. So when people want to gamble and they're buying tech stocks, they're buying Bitcoin and they're selling gold. When people are worried, there's a problem, there's a crisis, they're selling tech stocks, they're selling Bitcoin, and they're buying gold. So recognize that even though you think that maybe in the future Bitcoin will be a safe haven the way gold is now, it isn't now. And so to the extent that you want to have some protection, you want to de-risk and have something that's reliable that you can count on in bad times, Bitcoin ain't it. But that role is still being performed by gold. And so you need to have gold if you have Bitcoin.
For now.
All right, well, until it changes. But it hasn't changed.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you so much for joining me. Appreciate it.
Sure, thanks for having me on.
Need liquidity without having to sell your Bitcoin? For more than 6 years now, Ledn has been the trusted choice for Bitcoin-backed lending, with transparency, security, and trust at their core. I absolutely love these guys, and I personally not only have an account with them, but also a loan. And some of the key features that I love about Ledn is the fact that there are no monthly payments. You pay at the end of the term. You also have the ability to roll over the loan as well, and you can pay it back whenever you want. Essentially, what they do is that they help their clients unlock the liquidity of their BTC, allowing you to HODL while still accessing the wealth of your Bitcoin. They've been battle tested with their focus on transparency, security, and trust, allowing them to build a proven track record of client success and security, helping tens of thousands of clients harness the value of their digital assets with confidence and peace of mind. Learn more about what your BTC can do for you today. Simply Bitcoin viewers get 0.25% off their first loan by using the link in the video/podcast description. What are you waiting for? Head over to ledn.io today.